Hello, sports fans. Welcome back to my channel. I'm here, Cameron Lindsay, with River Dragons player Thomas Aldworth. Thomas, appreciate you joining me for this interview.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
First, I want to start off by saying Happy Black History Month to every person. It's a very important month, especially for the River Dragons organizations, people worldwide. And I said, why not do an interview with Thomas? Even though he is the only African American player on our team, so I said, why not do it about him? And he is really a great player. So I'm not just saying that because I went to the organization. He really is.
Thank you. Appreciate
And Thomas, before we get into any hockey, let's talk about off the hockey ice.
Okay.
So, what does it mean to be a young Black African American man to be a part of the River Dragon organization?
It's feels nice. This area is there's a lot of African Americans in this area in general, so it's just nice. Playing in front of a fan base that kind of have a lot of African Americans here at the games and stuff like that. So to play in front of them is really nice. It's really nice just to kind of be like a representation that that the sport doesn't have much of. So it's nice to kind of bring it here.
All right, yeah. I mean, like I said, with a town like Columbus, I feel like it does have a great population of African Americans, and I feel like them seeing a player like you, they come more to River Dragon games, seeing somebody like you that can inspire them, especially getting into hockey, like.
Exactly.
Because you really don't see too many African Americans playing.
Yeah, no, you really
sport,
don't.
Especially a pro hockey player like yourself, So
yeah.
I feel like seeing you, like saying you're a really great player, like so you're not just just an average player, really good. So I feel like seeing somebody like you you never know, and somebody in the crowd can be like, hey, that number 19 right there.
Yeah.
Thomas, I said, I feel like I want to be like him. So
that's the goal too. Like I said, I want to inspire everyone to play, especially people that like me, young people in general. So if I can help inspire a kid in the crowd because he looks like me or she looks like me, that's a plus. And I really I'm glad I get the opportunity to kind of showcase that and do that here.
I mean, I feel like you are, and I feel like the way you keep getting better and better each game, I feel like you never know who you're gonna touch. Even somebody that's not there in person, watching on YouTube, so you never know.
Yeah.
But speaking of, also I want to ask you, what do you think of Black History Month? Like, what comes to your mind right away when you think of Black History Month?
Just some of the legends of the past: Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks, Harriet Tubman, Malcolm X. You can the list goes on. You know what I mean? So just kind of those inspirational stories and all the things that have happened throughout history that kind of helped us get to where we are now. I'm not saying that the job's done, because it's clearly not. There's a long way to go, but just to see where we've come, where we are now, and where we still have to go, it's kind of a nice little journey. So just those influential voices of the past and stuff like that.
I mean, when I think of Black History Month, I think of Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Rosa Parks, Harriet Tubman, so automatically names come to my head. And like I said, speaking of those figures we just named, who would be your top 3 historical Black figures when you think of Black History Month?
Honestly, I'm an athlete too, so I like to go with people that kind of set the trend and kind of change things. So for me, Willie O'Ree is like a huge one. He broke the color barrier in the NHL. So playing the Bruins, I believe it was 56 or something. He broke the color barrier that year, so he's one of my tops. Martin Luther King, obviously, he kind of helped unite this nation in a way. So that's obviously awesome. And for the third spot, there's so many. Not saying that I agree with all the tactics that Malcolm X used, but just kind of his message of just kind of empowering our people itself, and it kind of stuck with me. So that's the third one probably.
That's pretty good ones. Like I said, ain't nothing wrong with that. Even though, like I said, for the younger generation, hopefully they can learn about those public figures and understand why Black History Month is so important to not only non-athletes but to athletes like yourself, and that inspire you, especially in a month like this. And I wanted to, especially speaking of young Black kids, what would you say to any young Black little boy who want to be a pro hockey player like you? Like, what would you say to them, to get any advice to get started? Or
yeah, I would just say, you're just like any other kid, so just, go out there, start, have fun, which is most important, but just, realize that, no matter if you see guys in the locker room who look like you or don't, that doesn't really matter. What matters is having fun, and what matters is, just playing a sport that you love. And for me, I picked it up young, and I just loved it, so I never want to stop playing. I didn't really necessarily, when I was younger, think about the racial barriers and things like that. It kind of happened when I got older, and you kind of start to realize things as you get older and you get smarter and things kind of fall into place. But when I was younger, I really just played for the love of the game, and I will just I would tell any young kid that wants to start playing just to play, to start loving it, and just to stick with it. And there are some, and, even though you might not see many, there are some examples out there of successful players who look like them, things like that, to look up to.
I mean, that's really good advice. So like, if let's say like, you had a son, would you be like? I mean, you're not gonna force him to play the game of hockey, but would you want to, like, if he asked you for any advice, if you had a son one day and he wanted to play hockey, like, would you like take that very serious, like train him and teach him the game?
Yeah, for sure. Like my dad was always like that for me. My dad didn't play hockey, but that doesn't mean he didn't help me out. He was in the garage with the goalie pads on playing when I was younger, helping me practice shooting, stuff like that. Took me to the rink in countless hours. Like, he was always there for me. So my son, if I have one, I won't force him to play, any certain sport or anything, even if it's not a sport. But if, I'll, show him how to skate when he's young, and if he wants to stick with it, then so be it. But I would definitely be like, I feel like I kind of know what it takes to make a player good. I kind of can use my life trials and kind of know what to avoid and what to do, how to help and stuff like that. So I feel like I could make a pretty good player if I had a son to kind of mentor and things like that. So yeah, I would definitely.
I feel like if you did, I feel like it'd be in good hands. So then, like I said, watch your highlights and learn from it. And like me, like I said, I play football, and so if I had a son, I wouldn't force him to, but I definitely would train him, taking the camps. Tell her everything I know and avoid mistakes that I made. So I definitely would do something like that. But speaking like of your childhood and all that, what made you get into hockey during your childhood and the teenage years? Like, what exactly started it all?
Yeah, so actually, funny story. So I'm from Memphis originally. My mom's family's from Memphis. So we lived there for the first 6-7 years of my life. I moved from Memphis to California. When I moved to California for 1 year, I was in Sacramento, and I played a lot of street hockey. That's the first time I ever saw hockey. There's guys in the street playing street hockey. But that was kind of like a casual thing. I didn't really play it much. And then when I moved to Texas the following year, I was 9 years old, or I was 8 years old turning 9. And I moved right next to where the Stars used to practice at. Well, the NHL team was like, their practice rink was like within 5 minutes of my house or so. So my dad and I had never really seen ice hockey before, anything like that. And we were driving by one day, and he was like, "You want to just go in this ice hockey rink and see what it looks like?" And I was like, "Sure." So we walked in, and they had like the curtains kind of closed off, and there was this guy standing there, and he was like, "You can't walk through here." And I'm like, and we didn't know why. And he said, "The Stars are practicing." And my dad was explaining like, "Oh, we didn't know what that." Well, like, I didn't know what the Stars was or anything. So the guy was like, "Oh, so you don't know what hockey is?" Something like that. And we started talking to him, and then he was like, "Why don't you guys come in and watch it for a couple minutes?" So he brought us in and let us watch practice for a couple minutes, and ever since then I was like hooked.
That's pretty good story. So walking in and seeing a professional team play, did you even know that was a professional?
Yeah, no, I had no concept of it. I knew that they were like adults and they were big and like scary looking to me, but I didn't know that there was like what pro hockey even was.
That's pretty good story. Being that way from a practice facility, not too many people get to say that, and so like from then, like hockey, did hockey play a big role in your life? Like where did Thomas Aldworth put? What did like Thomas Aldworth like grow in the game of hockey?
I'm sure you're asking. So so when I started playing when I was young, I started playing around 8 or 9, which is honestly kind of late. It's kind of a late start for ice hockey. Immediately when I first started playing, I was really hooked on it. So I remember my dad signing me up when I was like 10 or 11 years old. I played on 3 teams at once. I wanted to skate as much as possible. So I was playing the normal rec league stuff. Nothing great, no travel, nothing like that.
Also, one like AAU or nothing.
Yeah, but then when I turned 12, one of the kids who I played against in like a summer league, his dad was like, "Hey, your son." He went to my dad and was like, "Hey, your son's pretty good. Like you should try to play on this travel team." And I didn't know anything about travel hockey at the time, and honestly, I don't come from a background where we have just this excess money to spend like that. And hockey's very expensive. But he brought me to the tryout, and I happened to be turned out I was really good, and within 10 minutes of the tryout, they had the coach was talking to my dad in the office about finding ways where I could make payment where I could not have to pay to play, stuff like that, because they really wanted me.
They pretty much said, "Oh, we got to get him. We got to get what we got to do to get."
Yeah.
What we got to do to get him on our team?
Yeah, so it was nice, but I didn't know that I was any good because I just played like rec league, and I was good in my rec league. Like I would score a bunch of goals in the game, but I didn't know compared to these kids, I was really scared, nervous, and
I mean, like a travel team, I guess like that's like the next level. Like when you, it's kind of like when levels like a G League or minor league. It's like you just keep leveling up. So
exactly. So that was like AAA, which is like the top tier travel you can play.
it turns out you can play with that level of kids. So you know that I'm pretty sure that boosted your confidence even more. Not made you cocky, but boosted your confidence.
Yeah, I was like I said, I was a 12-year-old kid, so I was like started to realize I was actually like pretty good. I could maybe do something with the sport.
Yeah.
Then I ended up when I was 15, I ended up going to a prep school in Massachusetts. So I got like recruited to go play at a private school up there, and within 2 months of being in my prep school, I got an offer from like 4 schools. It was Northeastern, Maine, Merrimack, and UConn, I believe. That was the first 4 schools, and I was within like the first week or two. I was in Massachusetts at my prep school, so I was like, wow, this could really be a thing for me one day. So when I was like 15, 16 was really when I locked it in. It was like I could do something with the sport.
Okay, so that, like I said, I'm glad to hear that. You know, that's a big journey that you had, like especially from going from watching the Dallas Stars play to travel teams to private school, then get recruited by pretty good colleges.
Yeah.
So that's pretty great journey to find out. And obviously, here at the River Dragons, we kind of know who Thomas Aldworth is, but who are you outside of the River Dragons, outside of hockey? Like any hobbies you like to do, or routines, like what's something that you outside of hockey that you enjoy, or on your free time or anything?
Honestly, I'm just kind of like a homebody. I don't do too much. Like when I was younger, I was really into video games and stuff. But I kind of like cut back on that as I get older. But I still play a little bit here and there. Mostly, I have 2 cats. So I just hang out with my cats.
I mean, there ain't no wrong with that. We don't like to play video games. I ain't really a cat person.
No, I never had a cat before. I just got these 2 recently. But yeah, I still play games like here and there, and then hang out with my girlfriend, and then just kind of watch shows. We watch a lot of TV shows, stuff like that. So, but I like to get out and hang out with my friends too when I can.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Like you said, like you got your soulmate in your life, so your best friend. So there's nothing wrong with chilling with your girlfriend. But one day will be your wife. So there's nothing wrong with that. Me, like I said, I like to get out in the city a little bit more. Like I said, I like to work out in the gym and stuff like that. But I'm glad to hear that. But also I want to, besides we have learned about your childhood, but tell us about your parents and your family, like as far as your background, like any.
So it's kind of weird. I kind of have an odd family. So my mom is black, my dad is white. My dad is from England, which is really weird, and my mom's from Memphis. So my dad's family moved from England to Memphis when he was around 15 because of his dad's work. My mom and dad ended up meeting there, whatever. But yeah, so my mom's from Memphis, and her whole family's from there. She has 7 brothers and sisters. It's a big family. We're from a small town called Brownsville, which is kind of just outside of Memphis. And it's one of those places where like everybody knows everyone, and like you can walk around anywhere, and like this person's my cousin, or this person knows my cousin, or that's my 3rd cousin, or something.
I kind of can relate to that, being from Mississippi. But I will say thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Aldworth, for bringing Thomas into this world.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Like I said, without you, we definitely want to have you on this team and be a contribute to it. And like I said, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Dad being white, mom being black, but that's pretty. From England to Memphis, that's kind of a great story to tell, especially of how they met, and.
Yeah, it's definitely weird. It's not weird, but it's definitely interesting because like it's something that's unique, I guess. A lot of people don't.
I mean, like I said, have you been to England? Have you visited England?
I personally haven't been to England, but I've been to Ireland with my college for a hockey trip. But a lot of my relatives from the UK live over here. Like my dad does, my grandmother does, my aunt. But then I have like some cousins and stuff that's live over in England. There's actually a town in England called Aldworth as well. It's like named after my, I guess, old family town and stuff like that. But I've never been out there. I kind of want to go one day, but I haven't been yet.
Obviously, I'm glad to hear that. Hear that side of your. I know you're African American man, but hear that side of your that side of your family. I feel like it's still important to learn about somebody, even with Black History Month. So it's still nice to hear something like that. And what's something like you have done, maybe not now, but you've done before to celebrate Black History Month? Like, can you recall anything?
Yeah. So whenever So I usually go back to to my mom's family, like over there in Memphis area or in Brownsville area. We especially growing up, we used to visit like multiple times a year. So usually we have a trip in February at some point down there, and there's always some kind of party going on. So usually whenever there's parties every week, every weekend there, honestly. But whenever we're there, we kind of do like celebration. It's like my family and my extended family. So it's like 40 people are there. It's usually like a cookout, stuff like that. So we usually do like a little party.
Oh, good. Yeah, so it's very nice. Glad to hear your family come together, especially during a month like this. Where it's Black History Month, or celebrating, fight against breast cancer. So something like that, I feel like it's very important to do, and I'm glad. Like I said, I'm glad to hear it. Like I said, I never would have thought, something like that is very important to you.
Yeah.
But that's what this whole interview is for, so fans and sports fans can find out, who is Thomas Aldworth. Like I said, you're more than just a hockey player. You're an African American man, a young man in this world, just like me, and we're just trying to do what we love and just take one day at a time.
Exactly. That's what it's all about.
Yeah. Now, as far as of course, the River Dragon organization, what would winning the championship this year mean for you?
I mean a lot. Like I said, I was not here last year. I was in Binghamton last year. I got traded here in the offseason for Jake Schultz, which was like the captain of this team, and so I know a lot of fans are really kind of at first initially like upset about the trade because obviously like they don't want to see their captain going and stuff like that. But I don't know if he was the captain or if he's just the captain. I'm not sure, but he was one of the captains.
Yeah.
And so I was kind of weary when I got here. I was kind of nervous fans wouldn't like me and stuff like that. But ever since I got here, everything's been great. The team's been unbelievable. Like we've been good on the ice and off the ice. They're all my friends, and it would be really awesome just for this group to win a championship. And the fans are here awesome in the city. Like everything's great about like playing hockey here, and they deserve like championship. And
I'll say one thing when it comes to talking to organization, because it's my first year here as an intern, and I feel like they really do take hockey season very seriously. Like they come very faithful, and I think winning championship would mean a lot, a lot to them. And I feel like, I mean, if I was here, if I would have heard you got traded, I would have been like, told you like, I can understand you being nervous and all that, but I feel like they like you. Like say, I seen you, your name get called every time you score or assist. So I feel like they definitely went up to you. Like I said, I wouldn't know why they would not like you, So, but I can understand, especially trading for a player that's one of their captains or leaders on the team. So, but I feel like I feel like it's like when you trade for somebody, you like, who is this? Like man, what? But
I understand.
I can understand some fans can be harsh, but it's like you gotta take a little time to warm up to them. And I feel like you already have done that. And with the season coming down, the playoffs getting near, I feel like you're gonna step up big time. And I feel like you're gonna be fine. And
well, thank you. I appreciate that. I guess I'm gonna, like I said, like this is a good team, and we're gonna go far. And I feel like I can be a big part of that, especially if we win a championship. So I'm excited to get going for playoffs and stuff.
I got one final question for you.
Yeah.
Like, now I know you say the players and teammates, y'all very close. You consider them friends. Like, when you consider River Dragons like a second family or something, like outside of your own actual family with your mom, girlfriend, and dad, you consider them like a second family or something like that?
Yeah. So the cliche of like not just hockey and all sports is always like, oh, the team's your family or whatever. And I've had teams where that's definitely the case, and I've had teams where that's not the case. But like everyone's saying the same stuff. Everyone's saying they're family no matter what. But I was honestly talking to my girlfriend recently about this, and my dad also. Like this team, it really does feel like that. Like it really does feel like everyone's friends with everyone. There's no cliques. Everyone cares about everyone. Everyone looks out for everyone else. So it's definitely one of those family environments, and it feels comfortable walking into the rink. I'm actually like, usually like at this point in the season, you're like, oh, I don't want to go to practice. I don't want to go to the rink. Like you're tired and everything like that. But like you want to go to the rink. You want to because like you like hanging out with the guys, and you like it's a good environment. So you want to be here. It's really nice.
And like I said, I definitely see that. For me personally, as an intern, it does seem like a second family. I just like watching you guys. Like I said, even though I'm not the most knowledgeable person when it comes to hockey, I'm starting to get more into it. So I can see that. Y'all being a family, and like I said, I consider y'all family. Even though I don't know y'all like that, but I'm still getting to know y'all. So
yeah,
and
sure.
it would mean a lot for me to get a ring. I'll be out there right there on the ice and everything. So, but
yeah, no, that'd be awesome.
And like I said, I really appreciate you, doing this interview. Like I said, it was important to me because it'll be something like I feel like can make make you stand out a little bit, and also get to know you. And hopefully, some River Dragon fans, y'all do watch this video and get to know one of your favorite players on the team and everything. So, and I know we got a game tomorrow, so y'all come out. It's Military Appreciation Night this weekend also.
Yeah.
And
come out for that.
like I said, I definitely, I know Black History Month's winding down, but it's still, we got time to celebrate still. And really I feel in my eyes, every day is Black History Day or month, as especially as
I mean, yeah, you can celebrate something every single day,
So,
and you can just be thankful for the sacrifice that others made before you every day.
yeah.
And that's celebration enough. So, yeah, thanks for having me too. I appreciate it.
I really appreciate it.
Me too.
And I'll catch y'all next time with another interview. And this has been Thomas Aldworth, River Dragons player. And we'll see y'all next time.